It was a quiet evening in the city, the kind where the streets are washed in the soft, amber glow of street lamps, and the air hums with the hush of early autumn. Trees whispered secrets through rustling leaves, and the world, for once, seemed to slow down. Somewhere in a quiet corner of that restless city, in a place untouched by flashbulbs and screaming fans, two souls found a sanctuary. Inside a warmly lit apartment, the scent of garlic and ginger floated lazily through the air. Wang Yibo stood by the kitchen counter, sleeves rolled up, eyes focused on the bubbling pot before him. His brow furrowed in concentration as steam kissed his cheeks. Behind him, Xiao Zhan moved with quiet ease, slicing vegetables with the kind of grace that only comes from repetition. Every now and then, Yibo would fumble with a spice jar, prompting a gentle laugh from Zhan, a sound soft enough to melt even the hardest day. This had become their ritual. Saturday night cooking. Not for a variety show, not for a behind-the-scenes clip, not even for a carefully curated social media post. Just for them. Their story was never meant to be simple. Nothing ever is, in a world where fame feels like both a blessing and a cage. Two stars, brilliant, luminous, untouchable, drawn together by the wildfire that was the Untamed. On-screen, they were thunder and fire, storm and stillness, locked in a bond too intense to fake. And off-screen, something even more delicate bloomed. Something slower, quieter, but no less true. "I never thought I'd enjoy this so much," Yibo murmured one night, his voice nearly lost in the bubbling of the soup. There was a hint of a smile tugging at his lips, the kind he reserved for very few. Zhan looked up from his chopping board, eyes warm like dusk sunlight. "It's not about the cooking," he said simply, "it's about the company." And that was it, the truth nestled inside a single sentence. To the world, they were polished, enigmatic idols. Yibo, cool and unreadable, a mystery wrapped in leather jackets and motorcycle engines. Zhan, elegant and kind, with a voice that felt like a lullaby on a sleepless night. Fans saw their smiles, their laughter, their rehearsed lines. But they didn't see this, the intimacy of silence, the quiet weight of shared routines, the language of glances understood without words. It wasn't always this way. When the Untamed ended, the industry assumed they would part ways, just another on-screen duo, fading with the credits. But instead, something lingered. One message turned into two. Late-night texts became early-morning phone calls. Then came the quiet cafe meetings, the walks under borrowed umbrellas, the way their eyes always seemed to find each other in a crowd. The connection refused to fade. If anything, it deepened, like tea steeping in warm water, slowly coloring everything. Of course, the world noticed. Rumors began to swirl. Were they still close? Was there something more? Every interview was dissected, every glance slowed down and studied. But for them, it was never about what others thought. It was about something that didn't need to be explained. "I like being around people who make me feel calm," Zhan once said during an interview. His voice was soft, but the sincerity in it cut deeper than any bold declaration. Fans caught their breath. "He's talking about Yibo," they whispered. But the truth wasn't meant for public debate. It was found in the tiny things, in how Yibo always made sure the water was warm before Zhan showered, in how Zhan always had Yibo's favorite brand of instant noodles stocked, just in case. It was in the way they shared a silence without feeling the need to fill it. In the way they simply were. Their decision to live together wasn't born of some dramatic confession or a romantic whirlwind. It was a quiet, inevitable thing. A natural evolution of closeness. One night spent on the couch turned into two. A toothbrush left behind stayed. Drawers were shared, and before they even realized it, they were waking up to the same view, cooking in the same kitchen, folding each other's laundry without thinking twice. It wasn't perfect. Nothing worth holding ever is. They fought, once, over the remote control. Yibo wanted to watch MotoGP, Zhan insisted on his favorite historical drama. The standoff lasted 2 days, marked by passive-aggressive glances and exaggerated sighs. But even then, there was a kind of warmth beneath the silence. And on the third night, they found themselves on the couch again, knees brushing, sharing takeout and laughing at themselves. That was the thing about them, they always came back to each other. No matter what. A close friend once shared, anonymously, sometimes they cooked together at midnight. In their pajamas, barefoot, arguing about garlic and soy sauce. It's the most honest thing I've ever seen. Honesty, not the kind paraded under flashing lights, but the kind that lives in the quiet. The kind that doesn't need an audience. And the fans, sharp-eyed, loyal, impossibly observant, noticed everything. The matching mugs in their vlogs. The soft gray blanket that kept appearing in the background of both their posts. The way Yibo's playlists grew to include songs Zhan had once recommended. The glances, the pauses, the way they spoke of each other with reverence only people in love ever use. Social media lit up. Speculations became fanfics. Hashtags bloomed like flowers after rain. Hashtag YiboZhan forever. Hashtag Untamed reunion. They are real. And yet, through it all, the two remained silent. Not confirming, not denying. Just living. Because some stories are not meant for the spotlight. Some truths are too sacred to scream. Love, they believed, wasn't a spectacle. It was a sanctuary. It was found in the way Yibo would rest his head on Zhan's lap after a long shoot. In the way Zhan would stay up just to make sure Yibo got home safely. In the dinners burned to a crisp but eaten anyway. In the pajamas borrowed, in the toothbrushes shared, in the morning tea left brewing for just the right amount of time. They never said, "I love you," in front of others. Maybe they didn't need to. Maybe their love spoke in other ways. In the middle of winter, when the city turned pale and brittle, Zhan fell sick. Nothing serious, just a cold. But Yibo hovered like a storm cloud, making soup, checking his temperature, fluffing his pillow like it was a sacred artifact. "You're being dramatic," Zhan chuckled, voice hoarse. "You're bad at being sick," Yibo replied, quietly. Then, after a pause, "I'm just better when you're okay." That was the closest he ever came to saying it out loud. And it was enough. The years passed. Projects came and went. Their names rose and fell in headlines. They took separate roles, built separate legacies. But always, they returned to that shared space, that kitchen with the dim yellow light, that couch with the familiar indent, that silence that belonged only to them. Maybe one day, they'd tell the world everything. Maybe they'd release a memoir, sit down for a tell-all, or post a photo captioned simply, "Us." Or maybe they never would. Maybe the world never needed to know. Because the truth was already written. In the soup stirred slowly on quiet evenings, in the glances shared over chopped scallions, in the laughter that echoed through that apartment long after the cameras stopped rolling. And perhaps that's what real love is. Not a spotlight, but a soft place to land. Not a storm, but shelter from it. Not a scream, but a whisper that stays. So tell me, in a world that praises volume and spectacle, do you still believe in the kind of love that doesn't need to shout? Do you believe in quiet love? The kind that is real. The kind that is home.